Shoot, you ready?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, y'all. Welcome to the Reality or Not podcast with your boy DJ Reality and your boy Ed Biggie Make You Wiggle Williams. How you doing, Ed?
I'm all right, man. What about you, man?
I'm doing pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is our special edition. Wanted to do something strictly dedicated to at least an artist that, I feel like we both followed growing up. Lost him a little bit too soon, but wanted to do a dedication episode to Biggie, go through his Life After Death album, and then kind of just talk about the impact of the album, Puff, his place in history, Junior Mafia, Lil Kim, all of that stuff, and make sure that we show love to, a great artist. So you cool with that?
Sure.
Cool. All right. So when was the first time you heard Biggie?
Shit, I don't know. Maybe I had the Who's the Man soundtrack, so I feel like I heard Party and Bullshit, but it wasn't memorable to me.
Okay. When was the first time he stuck out to you?
Shit, probably Juicy.
Yeah.
That was the first single. Yeah, probably Juicy. I don't think he had done any features before that.
He did
mixtapes.
What's the name was what's the shit with Supercat?
Yeah, I do remember that joint.
I remember that song, but I didn't remember that was Biggie or Puffy on the song.
Right, yeah. I'd probably say Juicy though, like just probably Juicy.
Juicy was the one I remember listening to, trying to decide if I was going to buy the album or not, or buy Ready to Die album.
Right.
And like I said, I didn't really like the Who's the Man soundtrack, so I had listened to it, but I didn't actually purchase it. But I mean, still to this day, Party and Bullshit isn't really a highlight song when I hear Biggie. Like, I feel like Juicy was him, like that was his coming out, that was his flavor.
Right.
I was listening to, I think it was Kima, one of the chicks from Total, and she was saying that they didn't get credits they got paid for it, but they didn't get credit for being on that song, which was crazy, But back then, they were trying to, in my opinion, have artists stand on their own versus, have them have a million features. So I feel like it was just different times, and plus, maybe it wasn't time for Total to be introduced at that point in time. I mean, as long as you got your bread, at least in my opinion, I could care less if DJ Reality ain't on. As long as I get paid, that's all I really care about. But now I guess it's a little bit more, looking back, or hindsight 2020. I don't know if they even had that much power to be able to say Puff put us on as a feature.
Right. Yeah, probably not. Yeah, just shut up.
Yeah, right. So how do you, with the Puffy and Biggie's relationship, like, what's your take on that relationship as far as being able to build his career? Like, how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I think Puff helped him out. Puff taught him into making joints like a Juicy, Big Papa. It was up to Big. Everything would have been like hardcore. So I think Puff influenced him that way to just teach him how to make an album. Like, I mean, I think it's his impact on Big's career is undeniable. I don't think you.
Go ahead. My bad. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I feel like sometimes people undermine or they don't pay as much attention to what Puff did for Biggie and for a lot of artists. And all of the stuff that Puff is going through. Still, Puff was, for good or bad, he transformed the sound of music. And I feel like artists come along every now and then and do that. And while they're doing it, they don't get the love. But when you look back at it, you're like, well, damn, he was doing all right. I just felt like everybody started to become more of a copycat of Puffy's formula to being,
Right.
to making an artist, get more exposure.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
No, I'm with
because
you on that.
you have a Mace who I wouldn't think. I mean, Mace. I think Mace can rap. I think he's a pretty dope rapper, but Mace don't get to where Mace was at without Puff.
No, exactly.
So, and it's
Yeah.
funny when you see it. Like, in my opinion, Mace sold a lot of records, but it's different levels to this shit. Even if, like, say for instance, Mace, and I like the Harlem World album as an example, but I didn't like that album as much of a. I don't want to get into the comparison stuff like that, but as much of as a Reasonable Doubt. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you saw Jay-Z as being bigger, but Mace was outselling him with records, which is crazy. And it's just an interesting, like, because I always feel like Puff's influence kind of fucked it up for me with Volume 1 for Jay-Z, because it felt like that was almost the formula to follow. Don't get me wrong, there was some dope songs on there, but I feel like that formula was kind of lifted and put to Jay, and it could have worked, I mean, without the, cheesy videos and stuff like that. I mean, because Jay can spit, so you never really worried about that. But it just kind of like, I mean, with the roller coaster and stuff like that, it was kind of, it was too much.
So. Yeah, no, definitely. No, Jay didn't really need Puff. I think Jay had a formula of his own that worked for him. But yeah, I think Mace definitely. I mean, a lot of people on Bad Boy, they'll like. I mean, this Total had a success that they have. Like,
oh no, not even close. Not even. I don't see them. And don't get me wrong. I mean, it was all about image and stuff like that. But that Bad Boy train, was, they was on it. And I thought Faith was dope. I mean, Puff took Faith, and essentially, had Faith not as Mary J. Blige, but she was Faith on Bad Boy. But Puff had the R&B touch, you know what I'm saying, and then he had the hip hop connection. So it was kind of like finding a balance. I mean, I still stand on, like, that first Faith album was like one of my favorite albums, like, ever. Still listen to it to this day, and I listen to her other stuff too. But that was on Bad Boy. I don't listen to as much that wasn't on Bad Boy. And that's another thing too. You say what?
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, no. So it's like that marriage between, back to the topic, that marriage between Puff and Big was dope. Because as you said, I mean, I think it was written somewhere. It said like Machine Gun Funk. Biggie wanted that to be the single. It's like, it's like, where do you? And that didn't end up being a single at all. If you look at the whole thing, I mean, Puff was able to guide his career. I mean, you had, what was the first? You had Juicy, then you had what's the joint?
Big Papa.
No, before that.
Joint as far as what? Like single?
Singles, yeah. What was the shit where he shot someone in the video?
Warning.
Yeah, Warning. Warning was the second single. Then Big Papa came out third. Then I think it was a Big Papa remix. And then, if I remember correctly, it was a One More Chance after that. But I think that's the order. But definitely Warning was second, because I just remember it was just a random video, where he's in the video eating Fruity Pebbles and shit. But but all that being said, it was like Puffy laid it out for him. And not to say that, Puffy did it all by himself, but he was the one, betting on Big. I mean, he almost, I want to say he put Craig Mack to the backseat, because Craig Mack has stuff coming out. I mean, he had the Flame in Your Ear remix, and then I forgot the name of the other single, but he was managing him just as much as he was managing Big, but Big was just blowing up faster. So the focus went more towards Big. But I feel like when they both came out, they were same level, but Big just kind of excelled a lot higher as far as, you know, remixes and features and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So here's a good one. Like, whose career has he impact, or Biggie, whose career has he impacted? I mean, you have your Dream Mafia, you have Kim, but like, do you see? I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be like right now or within the past 10, 15. Like, it could have been like 20 years ago, but like, who do you? I'll give a prime example, right? So, like we said earlier, Jay-Z was impacted by the Puff formula, right? So, what artist do you feel like kind of went, you know, kind of was influenced by Biggie? And another example, I'll give like the Brat, right? I feel like the Brat, like her album, was it the one that went platinum? I can't think of the name of it. It was her first album. But I feel like everything, in my opinion, when she first came out was more West Coast influence. And then it started to move more towards like East Coast influence / Biggie influence, and then even having him on different songs and remixes. So what artist do you feel was impacted by Big?
No. I mean, everybody you said, I mean, there's probably a lot of artists on the East Coast that were influenced by Big, probably ones that aren't popping in my head right now, but I think like that Biggie / Bad Boy sound, like, I think that probably defined like what, the late 90s, early 2000s. Like, I mean, I think you say like the Locks, you could probably make the argument they were influenced. I mean, any rapper that was probably on Bad Boy, the Locks, G-Dub, Black Rob. Probably you can probably go into early Cameron. I think Big just kind of showed artists like how to walk that line between doing like the commercial records and the street records. Like, now I don't think everybody could like swing it that well. Like, I think Mike Geronimo like failed at it. But Jay was able to strike that balance. But Big at least gave some of them a blueprint. Like, now I think Big was unique in that he could like pull it off with like as much success as he did. But I mean, you know, definitely Kim. Like, I mean, Kim's whole career is built around her affiliation with Big. Yeah, I mean, like I said, pretty much everybody said. Then I'll probably say some of those, a lot of those, not a lot, but a handful of the artists from the 90s. Like I said, Cam, because I remember Cam was on Undias, which I can't remember. Big was like in the label partnership with for that.
Yeah.
But you know, so I think Cam. I mean, Mace probably to a degree. I think Mace probably fell more to like being accepted to doing the commercial joints. I mean, it appears just based on like kind of what he did, like as far as his videos and things like that. Like, yeah, I mean,
you throw Locks in there too. I mean, I don't think you get jiggy with it if Big wasn't on Bad Boy.
Yeah.
And it's weird too with them. Like, that's all of those artists I wouldn't have listened to if it wasn't for Big. Like, I wouldn't have listened to Mace. I wouldn't have listened to Puff. I wouldn't have listened to even Cam, because I think the way I found out about Cam was he was signed to Undies with Biggie. I can't remember specifically. I like Confessions of Fire. It was an album that I don't know if I've never seen him perform it, but it was one of them albums that was trying things, you know. It was like conceptual and shit, you know, from, you know, was it D-Rugs and you know, it was just a bunch of, what was the one where he was that D-Rugs, or the one where he was talking to himself and shit? I can't remember the name of it, but it was crazy. He was talking about doing some wild shit in there.
Yeah, I think that was Confession. I think it might have actually been called Confession. No, I don't know if it's called Confession. I know what you're talking about because I
Yeah,
first heard it.
that song was wild, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, but I look at even, you know, bigger artists such as like Nas. I don't feel like Nas go down the lane of, you know, sampling If I Rule the World, you know what I'm saying, if it wasn't for Big. I feel like, you know, that was just kind of like influential to the Trackmaster sound.
Right.
I mean, because Trackmasters, I can't remember, but I want to say they produced Juicy or they co-produced it.
Okay.
But you know, so they were working with Puff right away and just kind of just went to the Steve Stout camp.
Right.
But
yeah,
what would you put as far as his place in history, like within hip hop? Because I always find it hard. I put him very high, but you know, people always go off of he only had 2 albums, or he only did this, or he only did that within because it's what, from 94 to 97. It's just interesting, like the way he was able. I think it's dope to see where he was able to get within a short period of time, you know. But I mean, what's your thoughts on it?
I mean, probably one of the more influential artists of our time. Like, I mean, just like you said, it was a short period, but you look at what he did with the mixtapes, what he did with his features. Like, you know, we just talk about the artist influence. Like, I think like the albums, he had like 2 dope as hell albums. You know, I think like to what you said, he accomplished a lot in 3 years. That you know, but it's a hard thing because it's like if he would have continued on, would he continued on the same trajectory? You never know. Like, but that's all like, you know, that's just playing the what if game. But you know, I think, I mean, he's dope. I think there's some credence to like, I mean, you know, he died young, and he, you know, we only
That
judge him
nigga
really
died at
off of
what?
like
Was
2
he 24,
albums.
25? That's,
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff that they was able to do, even Tupac, but the stuff that they were able to do before 25 is just crazy to me. I mean, we gonna do a segment on Tupac too, but man, it's just what those artists was able to accomplish within a short period of time. I mean, they were only, how was Big? It was probably like 21, you know, 22, maybe when he came out, you know, and the impact that he had, you know, it just, I don't know. It's like I feel sometimes with Big, the things that Big did, other artists couldn't do and not catch flack. You know, like Big was big. Big was very influential in the way that he did things. Like you listen, like there's some stuff off. We talk about the album, but there's some stuff off of Life After Death. I probably don't. Well, I don't listen to it, but I listen to it because of Big. You know, they're not like terrible songs, but it's just not anything I care to listen to from one of my favorite artists. You know, like what's the song? Another. Like it wasn't a bad song, but you know, it's just it was like, okay, this is where I've gotten to where I don't like this, and it's okay from your favorite artist. You ain't got to like everything from them, but I will say that was one of the songs and a few others that I listened. But those are in my opinion, those are the quote unquote missteps that could have been, you know, that was very similar to what Jay did, where Jay had to, you know, reel it back and do things, you know, a little bit differently, you know, with The Streets Is Watching and Volume 2.
Yep, you're right. I got you. Makes sense. Yeah.
So with the beef, let me ask this. So with the beef, for one, do you think that it could have been reconciled? And 2, what are your thoughts on how it impacted Bad Boy's music?
I mean, I don't what impact their music as far as,
I mean, so you have songs like, not to say I mean, people say it's not like a diss, but you say like "Long Kiss Goodnight" or the Mad Rapper skit, or "Niggas Bleed," um, you know, stuff like that. That ended up, I feel those songs like specific. It could be other ones, but I feel like those songs specifically was impacted by the beef or people that was talking shit about Big. So
Yeah, I mean, that was that's just hip hop though. That if you think somebody's coming at you, you gonna whether you take subliminal shots or you say it outright, you're gonna do it. Like I don't think it was um
but
like
niggas
if you
don't normally
say
take shots though. That's the thing. Like that's the first. Like that's one of the first beefs that that it was like two famous artists at the time. Don't get me wrong. You had No Vaseline and stuff like that. But at the same time, it was kind of like it felt one sided with all of the stuff that Pac was saying versus like Bad Boy not retaliating, but kind of going to New York incognito, subliminal
right.
type of rap.
Yeah, I don't know. That's I mean, I hear you. I mean, I guess I don't know. I guess before that, people weren't maybe doing the subliminals, but I don't know. I feel like if we were to really go back and look, you find where artists are probably taking subliminal shots, like
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was definitely
So like,
subliminals,
I don't.
but we just weren't paying attention to it. Like I
Yeah,
don't remember. I don't remember Ice-T being dissed by LL, but then I go back, I was like, damn, he was dissing him on this
yeah,
song. I remember Kumo D and LL going back and forth, but
yeah.
it's little things like
So I don't know if it
like
was an influence on the music or if it was just that like we just started paying attention more because
mhm.
of the how high profile the beef was. Like, and then even on that, like that's just us doing the interpretation. Because I hear niggas bleed, I just hear a dope ass story. But
Yep.
I guess I can. But I understand people will throw a theory out there
Yeah, if
that it
you
was
read
about
into the
Pac.
hook,
Yeah,
it's like it's definitely a dope ass story and still one of my favorite songs on the album. But
so
so as an example, right? Like say for instance OGC, right? I never understood them dudes going that big.
right,
They just was, not the overuse the phrase hating, but it just felt like, I mean, they had them in the video making fun of, like, it was very weird. I'm like, did y'all run in with them? Like, the
right,
Pac thing, Pac had an association or the way that he thought that he was shot and all that stuff, or, him getting the information from, Biggie or Biggie finding out, whatever, that I still feel like it wasn't justified, but there's a relationship between them two. But I didn't really see, and like I said, maybe I overlooked it, but I don't remember a relationship between the boot camp clique and Biggie.
no, I don't either. I mean, man, I don't know, man. Some of that stuff it's probably early indication of what we are now as a society. People just like what boxing everybody got to open their mouth for the motherfucking opinion. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think about the OGC thing kind of like that. Like man, nobody who cared, but you get an imitation bigger in your video now. People talking about you, and for all the good it did you, nobody.
Nobody was talking about it.
Just,
Nobody cared.
yeah, nobody's
Yeah.
talking about it. Nobody outside of our like OGC is probably only known to our generation and that's generation of East Coast fans.
Yeah.
Like I would have asked like my 34-year-old niece and nephew, hey, what y'all know about original gun clappers? They give me a blank look. So like for all the like I don't know.
Them niggas give you a blank look on all of boot camp though. Like,
Yeah,
you
like
know, don't get me wrong. I
maybe
mean, I like them from time. I mean, I like songs, and I really like the Helter Skelter, the Operation Lockdown. I even like the second album too, but like the first album was like really influential. I was like, I think it was '96. I love the hell out of
yeah.
that album. But
But no,
Yeah,
nobody remembers them. Man. It's like you were just, I don't know. I feel like you were probably just opening your mouth just to open your mouth. Like I really don't know. I mean, maybe one day, I don't know. Maybe somebody can bring them some relevancy to ask them like why they were going that big. Now I'm sure because Big's dead, they
niggas
probably
don't care to
come with
interview
some.
them niggas either, though. You
Yeah,
know.
exactly. So it's like for all you kids, don't nobody care. Like I don't really. I forgot about it till you just brought it up. Like it's
Mhm.
all but like don't. I mean, I don't know, man. I think, but you can't. I mean, if you pivot to the Drake and Kendrick beef, like a lot of people are just opening their mouth, like other artists, like we're getting involved. That uh, this ain't got nothing to do with you. I feel like that might have been the OGC thing. Like you said, there was the affiliation with
And
Boot
nobody
Camp Click and
nobody think
Pop.
about Rick Ross. Rick Ross had a diss. I
Yeah,
mean, I fuck with Rick Ross. I like Rick Ross music, but it was kind of
it's like
like,
you
why is he doing this? Even what's that nigga from Canada? The other nigga, with the hair, the singer.
Party Next
Oh,
Door
the Weekend. No,
on
Weekend.
the weekend. Oh,
Yeah,
see, I don't even. Yeah, but so I
that nigga.
mean,
That nigga had a diss. It's like it's kind of like, why all these niggas got disses against Drake all at once, and he pretty much. But that's the tricky part too, though. With the Drake stuff, all of these artists have been affiliated to him in dropping this.
mhm,
It's like
yeah.
that don't make sense. Like Rick Ross easily has 30 songs with Drake.
I mean, man, look, man, Kendrick came out and made it okay to like go at Drake. So y'all was probably mad at Drake for one reason or another and figured y'all hop on like the
Mm,
bandwagon because Kendrick showed you there's a vulnerability there. So you kick a man while he's down. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that was. I think OJC was just talking. Like I don't. I mean, but then you even think about like shit, Rand Ghost on that skit was going that big, but
Mm,
talking about niggas was about a nonsense about it. And
mm,
Meth was just like, yo, they didn't like nobody.
mm,
Like, so I don't know, man. I think it's just you know OGC just talking. Like if that, I mean, if that be for the pop off today, and I think we saw with Kendrick and Drake, you probably would have seen more people like chiming in with an opinion. But I
mm.
think back then, for the severity of the beef, what it was considered, like people probably also tried to stay out of it to some degree, just because like it was pop felt be like big as shadow. Like there's some, I mean, it's just some beefs that like it appears to be more than music, like 50 and Ja. Like I would never
That
see
shit will
50
never
and Ja
end.
reconcile because like 50
That's what-
blames Ja for trying to kill him. If Pac really felt that like Big tried to kill him, I don't know how you reconcile that beef unless you get some evidence that Big wasn't behind it. And who knows? Maybe you would. Maybe because they're only 25. Like maybe you do get something. You figure it out. Like oh man, it really wasn't all that. But uh, nah, I mean, I don't know. I think if you really believe somebody killed you, then I don't know how you. I don't know how you're able to reconcile that. Like,
Yeah, no, it's a tough
oh,
one. Like but I don't think Pac thought Big tried to kill him though,
I don't
because I
think he
mean,
did either.
yeah. So it's just kind of like I feel like he just ran with the train. Don't get me wrong, I fuck with, like I like Pac a lot, So um, I do feel like the beef with them, you know, eventually, led to his demise. Even though essentially he's got into some gang shit,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, shit. I mean, like the dude that he Orlando Anderson or whatever,
Hmm.
they said that dude was really a killer, type of stuff. So, you know,
Yeah. I
he just
mean, but
got
like,
he got into it with the wrong person.
yeah, and I think Pac kind of picked up some of that beef from like, cause Suge had beef with Puff, so I
Hmm.
mean, Suge bailed him out. Suge probably talking in his ear, like Suge done bailed you out. Like you probably listening to some of the things that he's saying. You know, it's just easy to, whatever narrative you're giving, it's probably easy to like accuse Big and Bad Boy being behind you getting shot the first time. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It was, I don't know.
Yeah,
Not
no,
senseless.
it sucks. It's like, man, we lost two dope people to, to violence, and
Right.
it's. I don't know if you ever seen Chris Rock, um, what he said. He said he was talking about Biggie and Pac. He's like, them niggas wasn't
Oh, yeah.
assassinated. Them niggas is
Right.
just them niggas was
Yeah, just got
killed.
shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it's senseless. Like, I mean,
That's
I
really
miss
what it
Big.
was.
Yeah, I miss
Yeah.
Big. I miss Pac too. And that's why I felt like switching it up a little bit, doing more of a focus pod this week, because it was like, well, we still want to give respect to the music that we like, or the artists that we like, and we'll still go back to the other topics as well. But it's just, this was kind of, I was like, no, let's talk about Big, for a period of time. Let's talk about an album. Let's talk about his influence. Let's get down to it, because I still remember listening to. I remember where I was at when I first heard Ready to Die, and I remember where I was at when I first heard Life After Death, which
Okay.
is crazy,
Yeah.
and then the fact that Big died 2 weeks, or about 2 weeks, I guess, maybe a little over 2 weeks. I don't know. Died on the 9th, and album came out on the 25th. So it
Right.
was kind of like, damn, like, he didn't get a chance to see it, flourish, or to
Yeah,
see his
exactly.
dominance.
Right. Yeah.
So,
No,
and then
definitely.
and then to even watch the Hypnotized video, watching that video, it was filmed, I don't know how much sooner before he died, but
Right.
it just seeing him like have fun, smiling
Hmm.
and shit, like just doing like funny shit,
Right.
that was just
Yeah.
dope to me. I felt like he was really starting to come into his own as far as an artist, and just his personality and how you fucked with him. So,
Right. Yeah. I got you.
so,
Yeah.
but cool. Well, let's go through. I wanted to go through the Life After Death, and I just wanted, like, we give input on how you felt about the track. I kind of give a little bit of history and everything, that, or like production and all that stuff. But just go through the double album, and then we just go from there. So first track you're looking at is the Life After Death intro. It was written by Christopher. It was written by Biggie, Puff, and Stevie J, and they was producers on it as well. Like, how do you feel with that transition from that intro, from the transition of the Ready to Die intro at the end of at the end of the album?
I mean, I thought it was dope that they, you ended with suicidal thoughts and then you open with this. I thought it was a dope intro. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I thought it was a nice segue into the album.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool. I think the same. It was a smooth transition. Um, a bit eerie,
right,
with him dying, but
right, right.
still good overall. Um, what about Somebody's Got to Die? Okay. Oh, so my bad. That was produced by Nasheem Myrick and Carlos Brody and Puff.
You said it was written or produced.
Produced.
Oh, oh, no, I liked it. I thought, I mean, I ain't listened to this album in a long time. It was a dope song though.
Yeah. At the end of
I'm
the,
remembered in my end, but like,
it ended with um holding her daughter, and then like you hear the ambulance or whatever, and then
okay.
it leads right into Hypnotized,
Hmm.
because his daughter got shot in the storyline, and then all you hear is, I think it's a heartbeat, or you either hear heartbeats or
Yeah,
sirens. I got
no
it.
heartbeat, no.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. Like I said, excuse me, it's been a long time since I've actually, sat down and listened to this album. But I
mhm.
remember, I mean, like, I'm thinking when I first listened to it, like, you go into the intro and you go into this joint and you just like, shit, all right, this off to a good start. Like,
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and then like you said, then it takes you right in the Hypnotize, which was the first single.
Yeah. So with Hypnotize, I remember first hearing it. I don't know if you remember Hip Hop Site and
Mm-hmm.
uh and I don't know if you remember the real audio players that they used to have on there, but like you could listen to like a snippet of the song and they
Yeah.
posted the song and then I, ended up getting the vinyl. But like that was my first experience with that album. It was early too. It probably I can't remember when it was released. It wasn't, around the March. I feel like it was way earlier than that. But I
Right.
remember getting the single um on vinyl
Okay.
before he had passed. And then, you know, I mean, you end up passing on March 9th. But how does that song like how do you like that song in as a lead single and then just as a song in general? Oh, I didn't give it details too. D. Dot Angeletti and Ryan Lawrence produced that with Puff.
I mean, it makes sense as a first single. I mean, it was, for hip hop, it was probably about as pop as you could get from like uh, a hip hop artist who just wasn't like right just pop. I mean, I thought it was a dope song. I thought it had a dope video. I mean, it was. I don't know. To me, it was like classic Big. It was probably similar in the vein of like where Juicy and Big Papa were for the radio. This was for the radio, but I don't
Hmm.
think it was a. I mean, I don't think that takes away from the song because I think Big was able to straddle that line between giving you a radio hit and then giving you something hardcore. And I think this was the radio hit. Like, and it was. I mean, I hear the beat in my head. Like it was even if he hadn't died, it still would have been big. Like he probably would have been on award shows performing it. You probably would have. I don't know. It used to be like your little soul trance and all that. He probably would have been making a TV show circus, performing it and everything. Like I mean, it was a dope song. Like I mean, it was to me it was what you would expect from Big for a first single.
Yeah. I do feel like it capitalized. I mean, you had like in between the time between Life After or Ready to Die and Life After Death, you had the Junior Mafias. Didn't Kim come out 96?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so you had like features that was popping up from him, which was dope. So to get this song, I feel like it was a well picked song to trigger Biggie's second album.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like if they'd have did More Money, More Problems, he might have caught backlash similar to what Jay did
Yeah.
on Volume One. So it led up perfect with the right single of lyrics versus, like I said, everybody didn't like Biggie. Um,
Right.
but it was almost like a middle finger fuck you to everybody that didn't like me. Hey, I'm out here on the boat. I'm out here dancing. I'm out here,
Right.
having fun. It was just it was a great, it was like a celebration song. Hey, I'm here. I'm not going
Right.
nowhere. You know, you can either like me or not, but I'm out here and I'm gonna have fun with my peeps. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Makes
All right.
sense.
Okay, so you got "Kicking the Door," which Primo produced. How do you feel about that track?
Kicking the Door, probably one of my favorite tracks off the album. I mean, like I said, it was classic Primo. So I mean, it was just kicking the door, waving the 4-4. Took that from the Get Money joint.
Hmm.
But like, I mean, to me, I don't know. I mean, it's big. Like it was big over a Primo beat. Big was on point with the lyrics. Primo was on point with the beat. Like I think it was like I said, it's probably one of my favorite. One probably. I mean, it was a few solid songs on this album. I think I was probably prefer the first disc over the second disc, but this is probably like
Same.
one of the ones that yeah, I mean, for me, some of these it's just classic Big, like, and that's why I feel like Kicking the Door is like it's just classic Big.
Yeah, it wasn't slowing up. Like you go 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you had, the Martin Lawrence sample. And the Mad Rapper was introduced. It had a lot of cool elements to it because everybody was sounding like the Mad Rapper that didn't like Biggie, so and to, the elements of, and I didn't even realize this when I was younger, but that certain parts was pointing to Nas or pointing to Jerry the Damager, and it's like, when you go back and listening to it, and I was listening to a Primo interview the other day. He said this in the past, but he was saying, he's like, what do you say? I'm surprised you run with them. I think you got coming them because they nothing but dicks trying to blow up like dynamite trying to blow up like dynamite sticks. Man, I smoke hydro rock lyrics that's sick. Got paid off my flows, right with my own click. Take trips to Cairo, lay in with your bitch. I know you sick. Yeah, so it was like, nah, y'all are good, but y'all ain't fucking with me. So that's what I got from Kicking the Door. Kicking the Door really reminds me of, even though it's a Primo song, but Unbelievable. It was like showcasing how dope he is. I do feel I like 10 Crack Commandments, but I don't feel like 10 Crack Commandments exhibit. I think Biggie's flow on it was dope, and I thought the lyrics were dope. But I feel like this track right here showed like, hey, look, I can make the commercial songs, but I can, flip it like this too, and don't think that I'm over here slipping.
Right, so, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. All right. So Fucking You Tonight, that was produced by Jones and Combs. So that's Duran from 112. What's your feelings on that song?
It was cool, man. Got R. Kelly, Big, it was cool. I mean, it was like a little slow jam for the album. Like, I mean, of course, but it was explicit. So probably I could have seen Big dropping this as a single if he would have lived. Like, of course, it would have to be heavily edited, but I mean, they was masters at that anyway. They would have like probably had a little video for it. This was before R. Kelly was peeing on little girls, or they knew about it, so they probably would have had a dope little video. Probably would have had Biggie somewhere where he's smashing the sister. You probably would have had those little comedic antics to it. I mean, I like the song. I mean,
Why she giggle when her ass would wiggle? I always wondered that shit. That was always fun. It's like, it's like that was just always just a funny line to me. But it was I don't know if it was technically a single. I know it wasn't no video for it, but I remember hearing it on the radio, and there was a radio version where I was Loving You Tonight.
Oh, you saw no Friday. Yeah. So like I mean, you could have. Yeah, I think and they might have dropped it as a single. I just think a Big.
I don't think it was a video. I mean, because he was gone. But
yeah, exactly.
It was,
no, I mean, I liked the song. I mean, it was. I mean, because even that, like, it was R. Kelly at the time. Like, R. Kelly was like on top of the R&B. I mean, you pretty much kind of had like somebody who was on top of the R&B game, somebody was on top of the rap game, and they just came together and. Like, hey, the precursor to, I guess, Jay and R. Kelly doing the best of both worlds.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I think Jay understood the blueprint and what can elevate him. I mean, he didn't go right at it right away, but it's like years later. But yeah, I feel like that did have a influence because it was definitely a R. Kelly song or feature on. I know it was at least a Dynasty. Wasn't on the Blueprint. But then I feel like it was one on Blueprint too, but I can't remember that album as much. But
I can't remember either.
So, but it is what it is. How you feel about Last Days? That was produced featuring the Locks. That was produced by Havoc and Puff and Stevie J.
Man, I like it, man. Like, I mean, it's okay. I don't think you have too many joints with like the Locks and Big together. Um, so I liked it. Like, I mean, Havoc. Yeah, you said Havoc was one of the producers on this, right?
I definitely feel like Havoc. I mean, it sounds
Oh, he
the
didn't
way
get production credit.
yeah, he got the credit, but it
Oh,
got Puff and Stevie J on it too. But I feel like Stevie J probably played more of the instruments on it, and
yeah,
Puff
like
said add a hi hat or something, but Havoc
right.
had the sample. So
Yeah, like I feel like it sound like a Havoc beat, something that you might have heard on a Mob Deep joint.
mhm.
No, I like it, man. I like the Locks. I thought the Locks were on point. Like I think at that point, I'm trying to think that
They hadn't came out
they
yet.
had they hadn't came out yet. So like it was, you hadn't seen them in the shiny suits and all of that. I mean, but you go back now, you listen to it. Like I mean, obviously we really didn't know who they were when they were on here, but then
Hmm.
you hear them and you got Jada, you got I think even Styles and
Styles of Sheep.
yeah, Styles and Sheik. I'm trying to think where they with Jada and Styles doing that back and back that they were
Nah, they all had
known
individual
for.
verses.
I think yeah, that's what I was trying to remember.
Styles'
But no,
verse led into Puff's. I mean, to Puff's into Biggie's verse. He was like,
no.
"Yeah, who never fall in love with a
Oh
whore?"
yeah,
Then Big be like, who the fuck want to squeeze my desert ease, make MCs freeze?" You know,
yeah.
but yeah, they weren't. Hell, did they might have start touching on that um on the I forgot the name of that album, but the Money Power Respect album. So
Yeah. No, I like it though. I mean, only thing missing was Prodigy coming through with a verse on them, but I get it, man. You ain't want Prodigy to out rap Big. I get it.
that's what we didn't want to happen. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Prodigy would have came through a Havoc beat as producer. It's cool. I mean, no, I mean, let people tell it like rappers went okay with getting washed on their own records until Jada Eminem do it to him, allegedly.
Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, I feel you. I don't. I put it like this. I felt like the track was cluttered, um,
Hmm.
and I felt the energy change. That's a song that initially, when I listened to it, didn't. I skipped it just because I
Okay.
felt the energy change. I mean, I skipped "Fucking You Tonight" too, um, but I listened to it first, But when that beat
Right.
came on, I was like, and I hadn't heard the Locks, so or I
Hmm.
hadn't. I mean, Locks was doing mixtapes and stuff like that, but
Right.
I never been a huge fan of like mixtape rappers. It's like I'll listen to songs, but I prefer not to say the commercial stuff for mixtapes, but I don't want to hear a Locks mixtape.
Right.
I'll listen to the Locks, but I would rather hear a Locks album than a Locks mixtape.
I
I mean,
got
I
you.
didn't really start. I mean, outside of Clue, really start listening to mixtapes like that until like 50, um, where like they was doing
Okay.
their own independent mixtapes types of stuff. I feel like that was like you're talking to Lil Wayne's and with drought seasons and what's the niggas what's the dude from Philly that lives in Atlanta? Drama, DJ
Oh,
Drama.
yeah, yeah. Got
Where it started being more artist focused as far as the mixtapes. So, but like I said, it's one of them songs that now it it aged better than
you.
me
Okay.
listening to it back in the day.
I got you.
Because you got to wait for Big's verse, or you got to listen to these other three niggas. It's like not in
Mm.
the same vein, but it's like listening to Hit 'Em Up, and you put all them other niggas in front of Pac's verse. It's like, damn, I gotta wait this long to get to the verse that I want to hear. Um, as far as a feature, and I definitely didn't want to hear the Outlaws over Pac or before Pac. I definitely wanted to hear a Pac verse first, and then I'll decide if I was going to listen to the Outlaws or not.
Mm. Got you.
So. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So what about I Love the Dough? You got I Love the Dough, produced by Easy Mo B, featuring Jay-Z and Angela Winbush.
I mean, it's cool. I think I liked it more when it first came out. You know, it's the. I mean, to me, it's the. Man, this is probably one that probably would have got in a video. Jay was starting to, come around at that time. You got the catchy hook on there, like I love the dough. Probably would have had Angela Winbush somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
nipples out singing.
You heard the story about that, right?
Angela Winbush's nipples.
No, not about a nipple. It'd been cool,
Oh,
but no, about her. It was Biggie and Jay, and they was in the studio recording it, and they just left the studio and didn't tell nobody, and then they just came back with Angela Winbush to sing.
wow, that's quite funny.
So I was like, that's kind of dope. Like, I'm gonna get the original person to bust this down and sing this for us. I think the lyrics was tight as fuck on there.
No, definitely. I was gonna say that. Yeah,
the beat is kind of dated.
Yeah,
It's not a bad song, but it's just one of those ones that I find myself listening. I listen to that song less, even though I love the lyrics on the song.
yeah.
So,
Right. So more the beat, but like the lyrics are strong. Like I said, lyrics are strong. Like I don't know that I don't think it's better than Brooklyn's Finest that was off of Jay's album.
mm-hmm.
But like at the time, like it was just a catchy. The hook was catchy. You had her singing but the lyrics were on point. Like that's probably why I would like when I do put it on. It's probably more me thinking about the lyrics than like you said, like the outdated beat. Like it's probably like I listened to it despite the beat. Like man, it'd probably be somebody came along.
For the brief interruption, I had to make sure we had power. But what was your feelings? What was the rest of your feelings on I Love the Dough?
I mean, I think when I listen to that, I definitely listen to it for the lyrics. Like, man, probably man, if somebody would ever come along and just, well, I don't know if they do it too much now, mixtapes, but just like put a new beat under it,
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably, an adult beat. Like it wasn't a trash beat. It's just
Yeah, it was just the energy of it, in my opinion. I don't know. Then it leads right into What's Beef, one of my favorite songs, but so it's like I usually just go to What's Beef.
Right. Got you.
So,
but man, it was cool.
Yeah. What's your feelings on What's Beef? That was produced by Brody and Carlos Brody and Nasheem Myrick.
Like it's probably like I'm looking at the track list now. Like you got that and Kicking the Door, probably, two of my favorite tracks from this first CD. Then I probably put Niggas Bleed on there as a third. But no, it was man, it's just, the hook, What's Beef? Beef is when I see you, guaranteed to be I see you or whatever shit.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, beat was dope. I think this one I was like kind of coming around and really liking like Nasheem Merrick, whatever. I think
Them niggas was so hot.
too.
Like, what? So here, let me ask this question. I don't want to pivot the conversation, but like, why is it that niggas was hot, but then when they kind of went away from Puff, because this is where I give Puff credit as far as producing, right? Like, it's a sound that you could say is a Bad Boy sound,
right?
Even though it could be different producers, and that's why I see Puff's name like all through the credits as far as the producing, and it's like when, like, say for instance, Nasheem Myrick, he turned back up with was it the what's the Jay-Z I think it was American Gangster. Like,
okay.
I think he did some stuff on there, but I mean, he produced the joint off a Lil Kim album. It was my favorite track. Get Shit Straight like 915. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, that joint. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, why is it that? I mean, oh, and then they did TONY too.
Yeah. Yep.
Paulie
CNN.
Noriega. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, why can't, like Primo is probably number one at doing it with different artists. Like his sound, he'll not necessarily cater his sound to an artist, but he's able to have that success. Like Primo didn't need Biggie, but
Right.
he sounded great with Biggie. So like, why
Right.
can't artists, in my opinion, and I don't know. I mean, you don't have the answer, Sway, but at the same time, it's like, why can't it's almost, what was it, Lost Ones, where Puff say, you got another, if you could make another artist, then make them, type of shit. It's like, why
Yeah.
can't, go ahead.
No, you said Lost Ones. You talking about the J joint, right? You said
Huh?
Puff, but you talking about the J joint, right?
Yeah, Jay. Yeah, my
Okay.
bad. I said
Okay.
Puff. Yeah,
No, I
Jay.
just wanted to make sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, go ahead. My fault.
Yeah, if you could make another one, then make them. It's kind of like, when you see that chemistry happen between, like, because I think Nasheem Myrick and Carlos Brody, they did probably about a good, at least 5 or 6 tracks from what I remember. But or at least I know what the Niggas Bleed, Niggas Bleed, What's Beef, the Somebody's Got to Die, and was it I got a story to tell? No, that was Buck Wild. But I don't. So they did 3 tracks on the. Oh, they did another one. My Downfall. So it's like the songs that they produced, I feel like that was Biggie kind of shining. Just my opinion,
Right.
but
Yeah, definitely.
But I just always wonder,
I
like, what's your opinion of artists or producers not being able to take that magic and put it to another artist?
So it might lead credence to the fact that like Puff did actually did some work producing. Not saying that he produced the beats, but Puff knew like, hey, maybe he knew you put a hi hat here, or he knows how to like. I don't know. Like Puff is in the studio, maybe he's getting that energy out of Big to sound dope on the song, but like he go like maybe they go in the studio with somebody else that Puff ain't in there helping guide the session. Like I don't know. You would think that like if they were behind the majority of the music, that maybe Puff is coming in saying through a hi hat and here or something like that. But you would think if they're really behind the music, like the majority of the music, they could, at that time they could have probably went to any East Coast artist and given that production. You talking about you got the stamp of working on the Puff as part of the hit squad, like. But I don't know. I don't really have the answer. Like only thing I can think of was that like Puff was more influential than maybe he gets credit for. Because a lot of those dudes didn't really like. I don't know a whole lot that Stevie J has done outside from or Derek D. Dot. Like I don't know a whole lot that they've done outside of the Puff
Bad Boy.
umbrella. Yeah, Bad Boy like that. Maybe Puff was a little bit more influential. Maybe it was Puff like knowing how to like get an artist to bring the best out of an artist on the beat, or he knew maybe what artists on the label should get this type of beat or something. Like, I mean, because hey, they could have shot the beat to like other people, and people would be like, "Oh, that's dope," but maybe they weren't like the right ones to go with the beat. I really don't know. Like, it'd be interesting because a lot of them didn't have a whole lot of success outside of Bad Boy. But all I can say is Puff must have been more influential than like he gets credit for in producing the record.
Yeah, I like Puff. Like Puff. I mean, all of the stuff that's going on with him, it's separate the music and what's going on out there, right? It's a tough thing to do, but I wouldn't take away the legacy just to say that this person is a trashy person. Plus, nothing has been proven. So, it's always weird. Like we're in such a groupthink society that people feel like, well, I don't like Puff, so you shouldn't like Puff, or the world view of Puff is not a good view right now. So we should all. It's almost like I want to say it. It's not thinking on your own. It's like you only like say for instance if Puff get off, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to end up being. Well, I mean, it's a larger case now, but it probably end up being like Page Six News, and people will say, "Well, we know Puff did it because of
Right.
baby
Yeah.
oil or all of this shit that that was confiscated in his house."
Right. Yeah.
It's just one of them things. I feel like, I mean, I don't think it's a conspiracy, but I do feel like you know some powers that be was like, "Hey, man, sit your ass down," type of shit. Like,
Right. Right.
you know, um, and like I said, it was coming. It was gonna happen. It was just a matter of when. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's a sad thing to hear because I mean I say this all the time. Like I really wish I went to that Bad Boy reunion tour.
Oh yeah.
It
It was.
was sucky, and plus for what I
Yeah.
missed it for, didn't help. I mean I went to go see Lauryn Hill,
Yeah.
which
That's always a
was,
good choice.
you said, was a good choice.
No, I mean I was
Oh
being
no,
sarcastic.
it was a terrible choice.
But
But
I could definitely see that.
yeah.
Yeah, because it was a nice little tour. I enjoyed myself.
Hmm.
It won't
That's
happen
dope.
again.
This shit is never going to happen. If he gets off or what, like it's over.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this question: how you feel? We can lead right into the more money, more problems. But how do you feel about the big interlude? D. Angeletti produced it. It sampled. Was it Tila Rock? I think it's
Oh
yours.
yeah.
Um, but how do you feel about that? Like I said, we're just going track for track. So how do you feel about the interlude and then leading right into the more money, more problems?
Well, I liked it. I mean, it was an interlude. It was witty, like
Mm-hmm.
so giving you telling you like what Big stood for. Like it was cool. It was an interlude. It was dope, and like you said, they took you right into more money, more problem.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but nah, I liked it. Interlude. Like I said, it's what it is
I
for the most part.
remember, like, I thought it was a dope. I mean, it wasn't needed, um,
No,
but it is what I mean. I can only be picky. I didn't think it was bad. It was actually kind of cool, like him using a old style,
right.
as far as him freestyle, or not freestyle, but him rapping. So it's unique in that
Mm-hmm.
vein, and like I said, more money, more problems. I remember where I was at when that like started playing, like, and it just was
Okay.
it was a time, man. It was like when I first heard the sample, like um I wasn't not pro, but I wasn't against Puff at that time. Like that
Right.
song, in my opinion, didn't remind me of a sample heavy song, even though it's sample heavy. Like I like
Right.
the way that they flipped it. So when I heard it, I was like, it was almost like, what is this? This sounds different. It didn't sound um like just a typical sample or anything like that. It was just a nice way to flip the sample. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you knew this, but it was originally Mace's song, but since Big was working on his album, ended up
Right.
becoming Big's song.
Sounds a little familiar.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, and
Nice little
Jada wrote Puff's
pause
verse.
verse. Okay.
Mace wrote. Wait, I said it was a Mace song, right? I didn't say Jay. I said a
Yeah.
Mace song. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Mace wrote his own, and Big wrote his. But
Okay.
how do you like? What's your feelings on that song?
I like it. I don't really care for Puff's verse. I just didn't care for Puff rapping on it.
Hmm.
But I like Mace's verse. I like Big's verse. I remember going to a couple college parties and goes up and people don't have rollies, but they throwing their hands in the sky when that Big said that
Hmm.
line. I liked it. Like I said, I wasn't really a big Mace fan, but like I liked it. I really liked this verse. I mean, Puff's verse wasn't trash. I just wasn't like.
He just
I
want
ain't need to
we
hear
want
Puff.
Puff rapping, so
Yeah,
it kind of, don't get me wrong. I mean, Puff would be featured at that point in time. Puff was probably doing some features or some ad libs on other songs as far as a
all right.
producer, but Puff actually rapping, you wasn't really hearing that often. And honestly, so he did that. And what's the other song? The World Is Filled.
Oh
So
yeah,
I actually like Puff first on The World Is Filled.
yeah, I do like but like
So,
this one, then he's in between. So you gotta listen to Mace. You ain't gonna just skip through to get to Big. So now you gotta listen to Puff. Like,
mhm,
and I mean, so I mean, if I were to make a playlist, it might not make the playlist for a bit for a Puff's verse. Like I
mhm,
might be like, I don't really feel like going through Puff's verse, but then another day I might be like, I don't care about Puff's verse. I just really want to hear Mason Big.
mhm.
And like you said, it was a sample beat, but it wasn't, constant like they flipped it a little way differently and everything. So no, I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I said, my sentiments is the same. I definitely I liked all three of them. I do feel like some of the energy kind of went down when Puff came in,
Right.
because Mace came in, kind of strong. So it's almost like if you switch the verses around, maybe. But then again, it would be weird for it to come in. You'd be like, it's the D to the A to the DDY. You'd rather see me
Yeah.
fly than to see me die. Like it wasn't like he was whack or anything like that. It's just the
That's good.
energy, because even if it was just Mason and Big, I think the song would have still, did
Yeah.
really well. Um, but it was just sad to see. It was like a part in that video where Big, where they took the sample. I think he was out in LA when he was being interviewed. And he's like,
Oh yeah.
more money, more problem,
Yeah.
and so things like that is a bit sentimental to me. Like I said, I'm not gonna cry or nothing,
Mhm.
but it was kind of like, damn, that nigga gone.
Right.
Like we ain't go. It ain't no. Because I remember you called me and told me Big died, and it was just like, damn, and it wasn't like you called Biggie got shot. It was like, nah,
Right. Right.
that nigga that nigga shot
No.
3 times or something like that or whatever, and so that
Yeah.
nigga was dead on arrival and shit. So
Mm.
there's little stuff like that stuck out or sticks out to me. So
Right. I got you.
yeah.
Yeah.
What about Niggas Bleed? You
Yeah.
got Carlos Brody, Nasheem Myrick, Puff, and Stevie J as the producers.
No, I really like the song. I think it's the storytelling of it. I like the beat. You got the little heartbeat joint, going there in the background. Like I love this song. Like it's
Mhm.
probably I think I might have said well I know I said Last Days and Kicking the Door were probably one of my favorites on it. Like this is probably my favorite song. Trying to think about the whole album. This might be my favorite song on the whole album. Like the beat is dope, big, like um with the storyteller. Like
Storytelling was crazy on here. Like
yeah, like
when people say stuff like, I mean, I think sometimes we get trapped into um
Slick Rick
moments.
had one song.
Yeah, it's like we get trapped in moments thinking like, oh, because this is Slick Rick is old school. Like I was having kind of not necessarily a debate, but I was talking like someone said on my Facebook page, his friend Gentry, he said that Capadonna was great. And I was like,
Mm.
what was great about Kappa? I mean, he have like, I think I mentioned, I was like, well, he has this highlight verse on Winter Wars. I was
Yeah.
like, I thought Ice Cream, he stuck out.
Mhm.
And you might throw Triumph in there, but I don't think that he was better than hell. I mean, he might have got You God just because I'm not a You God fan, but
Kappa was on Triumph. I
yeah,
was trying to remember that as we were talking. Well, I
yeah,
guess
he don't have like he's direct. He's smack dab in the middle. It's either right after Master Killer or right before Master. I can't remember.
I remember him
Yeah,
now. I
but
about to say how much that verse meant to me.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, great. You can't put these titles on things. It's just like Whitney Houston was great. It's like, well, I mean, she's a great singer, but she's not great in
Right.
my book because I wasn't buying Whitney Houston albums. Like she didn't influence me as much as she may have influenced somebody else. You know, and back then it was more of a singles game back then, but I don't see too many people with like a Whitney Houston album and stuff like that. You know, like that just wasn't what I grew up around. You know, I mean, I saw Luther, I saw Temptations, I saw the Whispers, I saw Earth, Wind and Fire, you know, Freddie Jackson, you know, I was seeing those types of albums, Keith Sweat, you know, but and I did this One Gotta Go, and it had Sade in there, and I was like, that was a no-brainer to me. Like Sade gets any, like I like Sade, but I can't tell you, like that was grown folks music that I wasn't in tune with as a child. Like I had to get older, and I think the first album I have from her is like Lovers Rock. You know, that was in the 90s.
Yeah.
And you know, but anyway, but no, I love Niggas Bleed though. Probably my favorite, definitely my favorite on the first disc. But it was just the story, and this is where I was alluding to with the you know, with the revisionist theories. It's like all those albums weren't good, and people say, well, is he a better storyteller than Slick Rick? I would say yes, wholeheartedly. Only person I feel that there could be some competition as far as telling stories was like Ice Cube. Ice Cube was very vivid in the stories that he was telling, and like he don't get all of his props just because he had some pretty dope albums, but then he had other ones later on that kind of just weren't that great. But you know,
I think Ghost is vivid, but I don't know if Ghost has like a lot of storytelling. Like I think about All I Got Is You. You know, he's just a scribe growing up, but I'm thinking about I think it's the second track off of the Woo Forever, like second track on second disc. Damn, I can't remember the name of the song, but he's talking about like, you know, talking about like my man gets shot. I think his mom's come out. He's talking about she clutching her robe. He's talking about blood on the tent. And the way he's talking about, like, you can close your eyes and in your mind, you see like this woman coming out, running out, screaming because the baby done got shot. She clutching her robe. Like, you almost picture like her probably wearing a hair bonnet. But I don't know that. I don't listen to a lot of Ghosts.
Impossible.
That's what it was. Yeah. And I don't listen to a lot of Ghosts solo work to know, you know, outside of like Iron Man and Supreme Clientele, like a lot of other stuff that like he came out with. I didn't always listen to it to know how often he told stories. But when he's told a story,
when you get into the storyline, he's dope. I mean, even the Still Hours, Cash Rules. I mean, he's a dope storyteller. Like he's vivid. Only time that I would, you know, not really flex with Ghost like that is, you know, when he, you know, make up stuff. But you know, as far as lyrics, but Ghost is dope. Like Iron Man, and I put Iron Man and Supreme Clientele over like most of my favorite albums in general. Like, it was dope, and it was a time. You know, had us, you know, buying Wallabies and shit. It was just really good music, and I put Ghost over Ray. You know, Ray only, in my opinion, gave me one album.
Definitely.
I don't care about that second one. What was it? It was a part 2. The Only Bill for Cuban Links. No. I forgot all about Mobilarity. Yeah, that shit was terrible too. But I was thinking about Only Built for Cuban Links too. I forgot all about Mobilarity. That shit was terrible. All of the Wu-Tang second projects outside of Ghost weren't really that good.
No, not at all. I can't think of one outside of Ghost.
Damn, that's sad. Well, yeah, I mean, you don't want to detract, but yeah, Niggas Bleed, one of the dopest tracks, I would say, on both albums. But I'm definitely gonna say it's the number one track I listened to on the first album.
Right.
So now, what about I got a story to tell. That was produced by Buck Wild and Chucky Thompson and Puff.
I mean, I like the story. I just ain't never really cared for the beat. Like the beat, like Yeah, no, I'm no, I'm probably in the minority in that. I didn't really care for the beat, so it's
Mm-hmm.
what. I mean, you talking about like right before that, it's niggas bleed. So like, but I like the whole, Nick ball player, like him, smashing the girl and he robbed. Like, I like the story. I'm just not a big fan of the beat. Like the beat,
Mm-hmm.
it isn't trash. It's just not something that.
It's not. It's not a. It. You get to that point in the album. I feel like the album is starting to run long.
Yeah,
So you hear that. It's like I said. I love the song. It's probably it's like one of my best. One of my one of my favorite songs from Big as far as telling a story.
right.
But initially, I feel like I was listening, but I was kind of exhausted or ready to get to the second disc.
Yeah,
Um, and packaging it between Niggas Bleed and Notorious Thugs is like it's it's not better than those two songs. Even
right.
though I think it's a great story and I think it's a good song, but
Hmm.
packaging it between those two songs, it makes it a little bit more difficult to listen. Now, I think it did age well as far
Yeah,
as being able to listen to it and be like, okay, that's one of Biggie's better songs. But listening to
yeah,
it in the beginning, I was anxious to get to the second disc.
yeah. That was me. Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it's not bad. Like if that's one of the worst songs on the album, then that's not bad. But it's not the worst song on the album by far. We still gotta get to the second disc.
Hmm.
But no, like yeah, it was like you said. Like I mean, I, I tell somebody to listen to it. At least just listen to it for the story. At least
Hmm.
listen to it one time for the story. Like it's just, I mean, it's entertaining. So,
Hmm.
um, no, so I rock. Ultimately I rock with it. Like, but it's probably not something I'd be quick to throw on a playlist.
Hmm.
If I was just doing like if I was doing a big playlist, like it wouldn't get like doing a first run look at the album. It wouldn't necessarily get on there from like a first look, but second look trying to fill out the playlist, it'll probably get thrown on there.
If you had to get rid of two songs off of the first album or the first disc, which ones would you get rid of?
Uh, I feel like I gotta go with I got a story to tell. It's kind of hard because I mean I'm not gonna include the intro or the interlude
Yeah,
because
none
that's
of the interludes and stuff. But
oh
that's
man, it's
tough.
probably it might be because I do like Last Days. It would
Hmm.
probably have to be fucking you tonight or I love the dough. And it'll probably ultimately be fucking you tonight just because I think we talked about I love the dough. I think lyrically it's on point. I like Jay.
Hmm.
Um like I said, it would be fucking you tonight. I love the door, more money, more problems. No, actually, no, it'd probably be between fucking you tonight and more money, more problems.
Hmm.
And it might still be fucking you tonight. I think that song was kind of
I would get rid of "Fucking You Tonight." Definitely. It was a good song, but it was almost like
it
you
was almost
famous,
6 minutes.
so let's just make it. It was very formulaic or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So yeah, probably that. And like, I don't know though. I mean,
I would do "Fuck You Tonight" and "Last Days." I thought about "I Love the Dough," but
yeah,
actually, I really like Jay at the time. I mean, I still like Jay, but um, I feel like their chemistry going back and forth was like dope as hell, and it was dope to see that
hmm
continue from Brooklyn's Finest to this album.
yeah. I might give them more money, more problems, and leave. I got a story to tell.
Oh, okay.
As I'm looking at it, like I said, I wasn't man because I already got the radio hit and hypnotized, which I think is a lot better.
Hmm.
Um, and I just
I
like I
thought about
said,
"Somebody's
despite
Got to Die," but I was like, I like the
uh,
way it comes in. So that's the only
yeah,
reason why I didn't. That's why I didn't because it was really short too, from what I remember. So
yeah, yeah, it was.
So
That was actually 4.5 minutes.
Well, no, so you
But
had
no,
the
but there was
interlude.
some. Yeah, I was about to say there
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, it was like
some
an
stuff
interlude.
at the end.
Then
Yeah.
it was the beeping at the end, and it was, some talking and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it was probably about an additional minute and a half, almost 2 minutes added to it. So
yeah, I got you.
Cool. Thanks everybody for tuning in to this podcast. We're gonna do the second disc the following week, and we'll go from there. Talk to you soon.